All right. Well, good morning to you. If you're watching this later or watching right now, yes, we are bringing back morning coffee. We got pretty consistent feedback that this was a segment that was missing. I actually was missing this segment. It was just sort of a laid back way to start the day instead of jumping like right into the show. We were kind of hoping that going live earlier would just give more people opportunity to enjoy content. It would give us more opportunity to cover things and just, do more. It wasn't really doing that. It didn't seem to create a positive change. If anything, it was sort of a negative thing. Like people viewed it as sort of a loss. And so the thing that we're going to do going forward, like if you're watching this right now, like if you're here, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, we are going to do morning coffee every day at the same start time that we've been starting, 9 o'clock Eastern. And then folks on YouTube, you will not be able to watch if you're on a gifted. We are going to want to kind of get back to that idea of, if people are supporting directly, the extra content is something that is designed for that, and that is something that we think is the right call. And we're a fan-funded operation, and we want to kind of communicate that. So right now, all members can see this segment. But going forward, it will be a member plus and above. Green Room will also sort of stay the same that it's been, but we are going to bring Creature back in. We will not be talking into the deep depths of strategy, because that's like literally something that I pay for. That's something that he does as a business, and so we want to move away from that. We'll largely just use Green Room to pick topics, look at the news, and that'll allow you guys to have that influence on the show. We know people liked that. And so we want to kind of get back to the roots of what we were doing for so long. We made some adjustments over the summer because we were really just worried we're doing too much members-only content. YouTube's kind of making that a pain point for a channel. And we feel maybe we just overreacted. But we will need to continue to unlist the videos once we're done. And I am trusting that the bulk of the people that support the channel directly are going to consume the content while it's live. I was looking at some of the green rooms, and that's generally the case, is that 90 to 95% of the viewership on Green Room happens while it's live. Maybe 6 to 10 people will watch it later. So it's not this thing that like people, I don't think, are going to take advantage of, and it certainly is not something that people commonly do. A very small percentage of people are even watching the content once it's not live. The members' content, the public stuff, yes, people watch the public show. It's a 2 or 3 hour long show. Lots of people watch that after the fact. But we feel that the bulk of you that support directly get the most value out of it while it's live. Like, that's kind of the point. Yeah, I mean, some of you, a very small percentage of you, do watch things like Green Room and things later, and that's totally fine. That doesn't bother me at all, especially if you're keeping your membership. You're continuing to support. That video is there for you. So morning coffee will be just a great way for us to kind of get back to what we were doing, just kind of hanging out, just kind of vibing, just kind of talking before we kind of get into the meat of the day. It also should help the public show just have a little bit more energy, right? Like, we're kind of already kind of doing the thing. The cold start was difficult for me. I didn't like it. I liked having what we had, but we felt it was a necessary change because of what YouTube had been doing. We feel we've landed in a pretty good place where it's like, okay, we can continue to give the members value and extra content, and if we make these adjustments, it won't hurt the channel. It was actively hurting the channel because every day we'd go morning coffee, live show, Green Room, and YouTube was showing all of that content to people. That's really unhelpful. It's like extremely unhelpful. It's like, I only need YouTube to show the public content to people. So until they give us control over that, we'll have to have these things unlisted. So all you got to do is go to the playlist, and it'll be there for you to listen after the fact. Again, I think most of the audience, especially with morning coffee, this is when most of you are starting your day or ending your day, depending on where you live in the world. And this is sort of the way that you engage with the content. So I think it'll be a good change. Friday nights will continue. We got feedback. Let me thank Rose Girl for here 8 months. Love your morning shows. Thank you so much. We got feedback that, like, okay, we were going to say, hey, if you guys hit the goal early, we'll do morning coffee and green room on Fridays. And I think people had really, really fair feedback. They said, well, those used to be perks, and now you're making them goals. And I thought that was very fair feedback, because we are playing a bit of a reaction game right now. We're kind of reacting to what YouTube is doing. And it isn't really fair. It's not fair to you guys. It certainly isn't fair to us to just have these monkey wrenches thrown at us at random, to when we're like, well, if we don't make a change, we're hurting ourselves, right? That's a really unfortunate position to be placed into, because you guys know me, and you kind of know my posture and my heart, regardless of what people try to claim about me. I'm between last year and this year, I'm spending a significant amount gifting to the community, wanting more members, wanting more people to get in, and that ended up being very harmful to me because of the thing that we discovered. The other thing that was harmful is I'm like, I want to give the members more. I want to give the members segments and morning coffee and green room and all this extra stuff, and that was also hurting us. And it's just really unfortunate. It's like my posture of wanting to be like generous and wanting to give ended up literally being, from both sides, really damaging. This has been a really bad year for us, and we didn't know why. We were so oblivious as to what was going on, which is really, really unfortunate. But we feel we've learned some good lessons, and we feel that this should work. So yes, morning coffee is back. Morning coffee will be member plus and above. So right now, if you're here and you're on a gifted membership, you can watch. Now, Twitch is a little bit different. Anybody who has a membership on Twitch can watch. I don't have any way to control that. At least I don't think so. Moderators and VIPs. Yeah. I can include moderators and VIPs. So right now I'm letting all members see this so that they can kind of get the heads up that we're putting morning coffee back out there to start every single day, and you will need to be at a member plus or a VIP to get in. Like, you'll need to have the $6 membership minimum to get into morning coffee. We're going to treat green room the exact same way. So, because again, what I do full time is because of the people who support directly. And if you're like, oh, I'm kind of bummed I can't support directly right now, I totally get that, right? I totally do. But it's like, I've got to posture the content in a way where it's like, this is the right thing, because there are people that do Patreon, there are people that do all kind of fan-funded podcasts, and it's like, you guys are the sponsors. You guys are quite literally the ones that make this thing happen. So I think extra content should go to them. I think that's appropriate. I know that's a bummer to people who are like, I've had to be on a gifted for a while. I've fallen on hard times. You're still going to get your daily show. We're wanting that show to be longer anyways, so you should be getting a longer show. You should still be getting Friday nights. You know, you can still get in the Discord. You can, oh, yeah, I mean, I guess you could use the Discord to listen, but you wouldn't be able to be, in the stream or whatever. The lighting isn't right? What are you talking about? Well, my lighting's pretty much the same as it always is. You need to play Destiny Rising. I thought the worst and got the best experience since D1. I don't have any desire to touch that game. This morning it was raining where I am. You saw 2 rainbows. You saw 2 rainbows? Where we live, we get rainbows like out the backyard if we look off to the side. Red lights in the back. Oh, you think the lighting should be different for morning coffee. Oh, I mean, I guess I could do that again. I don't even think about it anymore. We were doing that so that we knew where clips were coming from, but I just stopped caring about all that. I really don't. It's like, let them. That's what they want to do with their days. If you guys want me to change the color, I'll change the color. I can't remember which one we used. I think it was this middle one. There you go. This is the biggest controversy since the Cracker Barrel logo change. That's good. Yeah. No, we used to do this, and then we would do a green light for the green room. Sometimes I forget that the little things add a little flavor. You know what I mean? You had a blast with the Lost Soul Aside demo. It's 100% expecting you to already understand the mechanics and the combat. Yeah, Dirge, I could not get into a flow state with it. I thought it felt terrible. And I kept saying, I think maybe they're expecting me to know things I don't know. I was like, I cannot figure it out. Like, I was getting perfect blocks and dodges, and I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do next. Sometimes he would do it, and sometimes he wouldn't. I was like, all right, we'll play the game today with the day one patch, and we'll see if I have a better experience. Because that demo, I think that demo is going to hurt them, because if you're like me and you have the experience that I have, you're going to be like, I don't think I want to play this game. Did you read their statement this morning? No, what did they say, Fuzzy? Did they speak to the demo or the day one patch? You're enjoying the combat so far? I only liked it in that one section with, like, the ads. We've received your feedback regarding the performance of certain cutscenes in the prologue of Lost Soul Aside. Currently, some of these cutscenes are pre-rendered 4K 30 videos, which may cause occasional stuttering during playback. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused, or appreciate your understanding. The team is actively working on optimizations and future updates to address and deliver a smoother gameplay experience. Yeah, that wasn't my issue. This is about Lost Soul Aside. Reminds me of FF16 with the dodging. Brothers, I played the demo of Final Fantasy 16. I had no problem getting into it. Lost Soul Aside, I felt like an NPC. I didn't feel like I was the main character. I was like, I don't understand. Maybe Final Fantasy 16 did a better job, like, easing me into the combat system. That demo of Lost Soul Aside made me want a refund. I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this game at all. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know. I'm just here to tell you, I kept coming back to, it doesn't feel good. There's something about it that feels off. So, I hope that I hope I'm incorrect and the demo is just a bad showing. Yes, your contact was right about the PlayStation 6S. It doesn't exist. Yeah, we're going to talk about that this morning. Apparently, Moore's Law is Dead was saying he thinks it's something they're likely to do. I don't understand. I thought he had a document. I thought the document was what he was basing things off. Push Square is the only one with a review out? Okay. Looked off to me a while back, says Hilly, like ice skating. Yeah, you pointed out the ice skating thing, Hilly. I remember. It was kind of apparent in all the footage leading up. Eugene says all flash, no substance. I think people like that, though. There's no way they would copy the letter S. That's what I'm saying. Like, the whole thing didn't make an ounce of sense to me. The only way I could make it make sense was, like, they're going to extend the life of the PS5, and because of that, they don't care. They want a lower-end device to be more affordable next gen or something. But even then, I was like, that's still going to hinder things in a way of, like, well, whenever you want to abandon PS5, you're still going to have that kind of thing in the mix. Now, obviously, if it's stronger than PS5, which it would still be a jump up, and it would still, like, leverage the new technology. But I was super confused. I was like, that was the only explanation I could come up with. I was like, the only thing I could think is that the terms of what they're shooting for are completely changing. The technology's changing, and they're going to extend cross-gen on PS5, so having a lower-end, PS6 isn't going to hurt them, especially if they're doing a handheld. But then my contact is like, there's no evidence that there's a PlayStation 6S, and now Moore's Law is saying it's just his opinion. He's saying it's what's possible, and it's his opinion that it's likely. And I'm like, I thought he had a document showing that they were doing like a 2-tier. That's why I thought it was so bizarre. Why would they follow the same strat that tanked the Xbox? That's exactly what we talked about yesterday, Joker Quinn. And that was all I could do. I was like, okay, if I'm asking the question, what would make PlayStation do this? That was the only explanation I could come up with that made any sense to me, is that they're going to extend cross-gen support for the PS5, and they don't see this as an issue because of how they're going to leverage technology. They're going to have slower adoption rates of PlayStation 6 because the PS5's, had a slower adoption rate from PS4. That was the only thing I could come up with as a plausible explanation. The issue is if you don't follow Moore's Law is Dead, he talked about the handheld a decent amount. His biggest thing overall for the longest time was that it was a handheld that can play PS5 games, but it will be called PS6 handheld. I was told that that's not the appropriate way it should be labeled, Rope, by somebody that I trust. That it should not be being called a PlayStation 6 handheld, and it will come out before the PlayStation 6. So it would make no sense to call it a PlayStation 6 handheld. He had a document that had 3 SKUs on it. He literally made that up. In his defense, he did make it clear it was his opinion. Not sure how you see 3 SKUs and not think handheld, base, and pro. Well, it was... Yeah, but why would you have a... How would you know the specs of the Pro before the base model's even out would be my question, Creature. Like, how would you know? Oh, yeah, we're going to be doing a handheld, a base model, and a Pro. You know what I'm saying? Die cuts. So they don't know the actual stats or specs. It's just the die cuts. Because people knew the Pro way in advance. I mean, I guess this is true. Tommy Henny knew about the Pro pretty early on. How many concurrent players are on Xbox? I have no idea. There's no way to really know. For Helldivers 2? No, I knew what you were asking about. I don't know. Sony's going day and date, third party. Sony's making their own Series X. Series S, yeah, Xbox better, that's right. 90 series GPUs are a full die. Everything under 90 series are cut down lesser versions of the 90 series. He didn't know what was in the Pro. Yeah, he just knew they were going to make one. I guess that's true. Yeah, so if we're looking at base model handheld Pro, then I don't know. To me, it was the most bewildering thing I had ever seen. I was like, you're telling me that PlayStation, a hardware company, looked at what Xbox did and thought, yeah, let's do the same thing. You miss morning coffee? So for those of you that are just tuning in, we're bringing back morning coffee. It is not something you have to unlock with a goal. It will happen every day. It will only be available for Member Plus and above. Okay, right now, all members can see this. I wanted everybody to kind of be informed about what was going on. If I decide to periodically open up morning coffee to all members, like maybe we have like a really big week or something, and I want to give them a sample, maybe we'll do that like on a Friday or something because you guys go crazy. And I want them to kind of see like, hey, we kind of start the day with like a more laid-back vibe before we get into the show. But same with Green Room. Green Room will be returning to its original sort of feel. Creature will help me kind of pick out topics, what we're going to talk about. You guys will help us think through some of that. But when we get into the throes of like, you know, the business stuff, he and I got to do that on the phone. It wasn't working. He was having to muzzle himself, and it made it difficult to know sometimes like, well, wait, what are you saying? And then we would end up wasting lots of time not saying certain things. And it's like, it's just easier to separate. Like, Green Room is for you guys to help shape the show. That was the original idea. Let's look at the topics, let's look at the news, and let's see what we can talk about. But the business side of things just cannot be put into content, especially when we have people who are actively trying to hurt me and misrepresent me and taking clips out of context. I mean, there's been an obsessive, concerted efforts to do that, and it's just like, we can't do that. We can't be putting that kind of content out. It was never designed to be that anyway. It was never designed to be that. It was never designed to be like, here, watch me talk business. It was supposed to be, let's shape the show, let's shape the content. You know, you guys can help with that. That was kind of the original idea. Morning coffee was this idea of like, hey, you know, let's kind of start the day just kind of all hanging out, you know, and you guys were getting more content as members. The problem was YouTube was actively showing members' contents to non-members, and it was hurting the channel. So for 8 months, we had no idea why the channel came to a screeching halt. Like, we couldn't get growth, we couldn't get subs. Well, it's because they would sub and then get inundated with content that they couldn't watch. So, and if anybody sees this in the morning for the hour that it's up, you know, maybe they'll consider supporting and coming in. If not, that's fine. The public show will be there at 10. Glad to get morning coffee and green room back the way that it was. You know, in our defense, we overreacted, but YouTube didn't give us much of a choice. YouTube didn't give us much of a choice. They were like, hey, do you know what we've been doing for the last 8 months? We've been really hurting you. It's like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Just, you know, my posture has always been, I'm gifting, I'm giving back, I'm doing green room, I'm doing morning coffee. I want to give to the community. Well, that ended up being very destructive this year, unfortunately. And so we've had to make some adjustments. I feel the adjustments we've landed on have fixed our issues. So you guys can just continue showing up, hit those goals for Friday, you know, try to hit those goals for, you know, either extra music or, you know, make Madam play a goofy game, or I'm considering something for Saturday. I've just got to look at the reality of Saturday. I would love to do it. I got to keep looking at it and thinking through it. It's the one day of the week where the family gets me pretty much the whole day. So, kind of blessing. Yeah, you got Twitch back as YouTube been screwing you a bit. That would, you know, that would certainly be the case. You know, I'm thankful and appreciative for you and Creature getting together and bringing these things back to us. I really do appreciate it. Well, I appreciate it, Stone Spire. I want the folks who are gifting and paying for their own memberships, I want them to feel like this is their place, their home, their operation. This is a fan-funded thing. So, you need to try streaming to Tick for a week or a month. I guess my question there is the monetization over there is frickin' terrible. Well, the thing is, though, Creature, Twitch didn't help because a lot of people stopped watching on YouTube so they could watch on Twitch. That would not have hurt us that bad because that happened right before we went into showcase season, and it would have covered it up, right? The increase in viewership in the, you know, in showcase season would have covered it up because everybody was excited in April, so nobody really cared. Everybody was kind of watching in both places. We might have had a bit of a dip in May, but then June would have hit and we'd have been fine. The problem was people started watching on Twitch instead of YouTube at a time where we were already being hurt and didn't know it. So it just compounded the issue. YouTube's like, I don't know what you're doing, but your channel's in terrible shape, dude. Like, and YouTube's the one squeezing the dickens out of us. It was their fault. I mean, it wasn't our fault. It wasn't like we were doing anything reckless. I wasn't like booting up and being like, well, today we're going to talk politics. Like, I wasn't doing any of the cliche YouTuber self-destructive things, but the channel looked like I was. It was like I was running people off. Then it wasn't me. It was the fact that they were like, this is a pretty nice show, or that was a good showcase. Let me subscribe. And then the next day, they're like, green room, morning coffee, green room, morning coffee. And they're like, what the frick is this guy's problem? And I had no idea that it was happening. I'm confused about the reference to Lono's gifted subs. Why was it hurting? We were not aware that localized pricing changes the amount that I get from big gifting. So when I'm matching 50 bombs, I'm actively hurting myself because I didn't know what was happening. When we're hitting huge goals and I'm streaming on a Saturday and gifting back constantly, I mean, I'm constantly throwing down 5 bombs, 10 bombs. I was doing a lot. Unknowingly losing in that exchange. I did not know that was happening. So it's unfortunate. There's no way to know if it was malicious. My assumption is it was just an accident. It was just ignorance. So I like to believe the best about people until proven otherwise. So at this point in time, I'm just chalking it up to a silly mistake. We didn't know. They didn't know. So, yeah. Lono just wiped us all out with an orbital precision strike, and then we thought he was just driving that was bad. That's right. I thought you were being penalized for gifting to your own channel. No, I was being penalized in the worst way possible. I was losing money, brother. And it's like, you're not supposed to talk money, but it's like, we fostered a culture of giving. That's what we did. We spent the last 2 to 3 years being like, we're a generous community. I didn't know that I was actively hurting myself. It's unfortunate, you know? People call me an e-beggar, and it's like, I give so much to the channel over the years. That is such a silly thing to say. And the irony is that there's a very good chance, that we would have not even known this was happening had I not gotten the Twitch back, because the Twitch is what helped highlight it. It was like, oh, something's not right here. Something's not right here. And so getting Twitch back actually highlighted it. I had no idea. I was actually trying to do the thing that I was instructed to do. It was like, don't look at the numbers, don't look at the money, just focus on the show, focus on the vibes. And I was like, okay, and that's what we did. And I mean, there was constantly big, huge member bombs going and big, huge member drives going. And I was like, well, that's working. What we're doing is working. I'm going to keep that stuff out of the frame. I don't want it in my brain. I don't want to think about it. Let's just have a good time. I started looking at it and I was like, something is not right. Member count was going like this and revenue was going down. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Something's not right. And that's how we discovered it. So we came up with a solution, and we also, in the wake of it, we were attacking two fronts. YouTube was actively showing members content to people who couldn't watch it. That is extremely unhelpful, and it makes people unsub. I was gifting way too much. We have solved both of those problems, we think. So now I gift every 25, I gift one. We keep the same vibe going. We keep the same generosity going. We're still celebrating with the Friday night. We're still celebrating with incentives, whether it's like extra songs, because now that the music channel's up, I can give you guys sneak peeks and stuff, make Madam play a funny game, right? We're considering something with Saturday, but I've got to look at things. I've got to be realistic. I've got to be realistic with my schedule, but I'm looking at it. Maybe there's a chance just for some like mobile stream sometimes or something, like just hanging out, just goofing around. But we feel this is the right call, that the members are back to getting a lot of that value. Paying members are getting a lot of that value. They're getting morning coffee. They're getting green room. We're creating a culture of, hey, get in here, be a part of what we're doing. So Mash is still with us, right? I haven't seen him since the whole thing happened. I told him 10 times over that he was still supporting the channel and that, I was just going to have to stop giving back for the time being. He did a couple super chats. He said he was even willing to make it right. He was like wanting to contact me privately, and I was like, I'm not reaching out to you. If you want to reach out to me through email and you feel like you want to do something to fix it, because, when I'm matching a 50 bomb and you're not aware of that difference, I could see him being like, oh my gosh, I feel really bad. He shouldn't feel bad. If he knew what he was doing, well, then that's on him. I don't know. I'm completely in the dark. I'm in the dark. If he knew what he was doing and it was on purpose or whatever, I'm like, that's like a really expensive way to mess with somebody. I don't know. You know? He shouldn't have felt called out, though, because he and Behemoth volunteered the information. They're like, oh, yeah, we're using this currency. And I was like, well, there's the issue. We figured it out. You guys can continue doing that. You can continue gifting. You can continue super chatting. I'm just going to gift back less because it was hurting me. So if he internalized any of it and is like, well, I shouldn't come around or I'm the bad guy, it's like I made it 1,000 times clear that was not the case. It was seemingly something that none of us were aware of. I can't imagine somebody doing that as a troll. I could see somebody doing it once as a troll. You know, they set aside some money and they're like, this will be funny. The homie did it for how long? Like almost 1.5 to 2 years. So to me, all signs point to nobody knew this was going on. It was a stupid accident. We were just excited as a community. Everybody was, being generous and making sure people had memberships. The disappearance, I don't know. Maybe the excitement of being the big guy is gone, but I don't think that should be the case because he was still giving a ridiculous amount. Take away the member count. The member count's superfluous to the discussion. The dude was throwing down money all of the time. You know what I mean? Destroying someone's channel is a long con? I don't know. That the amount of money, Hex. If he did it for a month, I might be like a little suspicious. But month after month after month after month after month after month after month, I'm like, that money's coming from somewhere. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think, if I were a betting man, we all got caught up in the excitement. That's what I think. I think everybody got caught up in the excitement. And that's what happened. And I think as the dust has settled, we've evaluated some things. I think we've made some good decisions. And I think we're getting back to the basics of green room, public show, uploads. Morning coffee, public show, uploads, green room. Boom, 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 boom. Like, let's just get back to basics. And if those guys come back around and feel like splashing the pot, that's fine. They can do that. They're going to bless people, and then I've adjusted how much I gift back to protect myself. That's all. So, funded by the person and community he claimed to come from, but that's my opinion. I could be wrong. So Occam's razor, Hex, would tell me that would be an absurd level of work to, like, for people to put a bunch of money towards one particular person to then do something like that. You understand, had I not been gifting the way that I was gifting, it would have been a huge amount of support. So the level of intelligence it would have taken to do that, to think, well, if we do it enough, Lona will lose. I don't know, man. That seems like, I don't even think, as tuned into this business that I am, because I know there were people doing that on Purple. They would use their own credit card to gift to themselves to create hype and create this phantom and defraud their audience. I know people were doing that. As familiar as I am with this industry and how things work, I can't imagine somebody coming up with that as a plan. That seems insane to me. That's like comic book. There's just no way. There's no way. I genuinely think Occam's razors, the simplest explanation is we all got caught up in the excitement and nobody thought about it. Nobody thought, well, I'm using a different currency. It was like, I'm supporting Lono. Because in his mind, I'm just trying to think as him. In his mind, he's thinking, oh man, I'm giving a bunch of members. This is great. I'm helping him hit his member goals. This is awesome. You know what I mean? Isn't United Arab Emirates conversion not even bad? I don't know what currency was being used. I don't know what currency was being used. I don't. I know what I saw on the front end and the back end, and I don't know if that was an accurate thing. So my first thought would have been, yeah, I'm gifting in this currency, but the payment's on Lono and would be in his. Yeah. It's not the currency conversion, it's the localized price. When Behemoth told me what it cost him, we converted it, right? And I was like, okay, that would make sense. That would make sense. I don't necessarily know if that was what was consistently happening. Like, I just don't know. It was like, again, I can't, this is a big problem with YouTube. I can't see anything. I can't see a dadgum thing. All I can see is how many members I have. I can see which category you're in. I can see, like, are you gifted? Are you member plus? Are you VIP? And then I can see the revenue. I can't see anything else. I can't see who's gifting the most. I can't see how much I'm getting from it. I can't see any of that. I'm completely in the dark. And this is something that Creature and I have communicated to YouTube for 3 years. We've told them, we're in the dark. We can't see anything. The analytics are so generic. That's why something like this was able to happen. Yo, what's good, Behemoth? I don't want to entertain diabolical plots. We don't say them, Winchin. I cannot come to a single even inkling of like, oh yeah, this was a plan. This was a plot. Do you want to know why? If it was a plan or a plot, nobody would have said in chat, oh yeah, I'm using this currency. Does that make sense? If it was a plan or a plot, I feel like they would have owned it and been like, yeah, suck it, loser, ha ha ha, and then they would have gotten banned, and we would have been like, ugh, and they could have rode off into the sunset with their middle finger in the air. If it was a plan or a plot, I don't think you would hang out in chat and admit that, like, oh yeah, I've been using a different currency. Do you see what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. Like, when you judge the character of a person in this environment, you have to do it based on what they say in their behavior. That's all we have to go on. And I'm thinking, if somebody was trying to hurt me, I don't think they would hang around. I don't think they would. I think they would either middle finger run or they would vanish into thin air. He hung around for a couple of days and felt bad and explained what had happened. That's not evil plots to me. That's a simple mistake. Yeah, he was super chatting the day we figured it all out. He felt terrible, and I don't think that that's somebody. I really don't think that that's somebody trying to hurt me. That's beyond my scope of paranoia. They wouldn't be doing this to plan for over a year, spending that much money. They're that rich, smart, or so. That's the level of money. Does want to read Twitch? I do. Sorry, Bartholomew. I was interacting with a couple of people here. When I started watching your channel, I was genuinely surprised by how many subs you were gifting. Streamers usually gift subs on special occasions. In my opinion, you made a bad decision by doing that. Once you set expectations, it's hard to move away from. I'm not really concerned with your opinion about it being a bad decision because I don't really care what you think about that. We were fostering a culture of generosity. And if the localized pricing wasn't happening, what I was doing perfectly fit within, it worked. It worked. It was helpful. It got more people in. It created a culture. Like, the only reason that this worked poorly is because of something that I could not see. I couldn't see it. It wasn't anybody's fault. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't their fault. I couldn't see. This is, the fact that we can't see the metrics on it, that's something that YouTube needs to rectify. They need to rectify that. Like, they need us to be properly informed on this stuff. This person knew exactly what it was and called when you caught it and said people do it to this person. Seems like he was doing it. I don't think so, FCat. I don't think that loser has 2 nickels to rub together. I don't think so. There's no way he has that kind of power or money. No way. He's just some weird basement dweller. I don't think he has 2 nickels to rub together. Absolutely not. The amount of money that went into this was, to me, it was support. That's how I view it. There's absolutely no way somebody had that level of finance to basically like, oh, I'm going to hurt this guy with what amounted to like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month sometimes. You know what I mean? There's no way some weirdo troll did this. There's no way. Like I said, if it would have been for like a month, we probably would have just chalked it up as like, that was random. Who the heck was that? This has been going on for like a year and a half. We've seen where that guy lives. He doesn't have money. Right. You're all too innocent-minded. Just glad it's over and you can work on getting the channel back on track. I don't think we're innocent-minded. I'm in USD, and when you heard what happened, it had me feeling some kind of way. I know, Alex. I know. And listen, the best thing we can do is learn from it and move forward, right? There's nothing we can do to go back in time, right? Is okay this month? What do you mean, is it okay this month? I'm not sure what you're asking, Behemoth. It only hurt because of the amount of gift backs. Otherwise, yeah, Camille, that really is what it comes down to. It doesn't, what they were doing wasn't wrong. It was because I was gifting too much. I'd get excited. I'm like, whoa, we get some 50 bombs. I'll match a 50 bomb. And it was like, we felt like it created excitement. We felt like it created, you know, a great culture. It was harmful. Yeah, FCat. That's, yes. Yeah. Oh, after stopping the gifting back? Well, the channel is, yeah, we're trying to put things in a better spot with respect to the channel. I'm not going to get into that with you. It ain't great, and that's okay. We've got a plan. The not gifting as much has been a very good choice. Like, that was very, very bad, what I was doing. It was very bad. It was bad. And I didn't know it because we were having a good time. We were all having fun. So, you know, we've got a plan. And we're going to trust the plan. We're going to trust the process. I'm not going to panic. I've been doing this too long to panic. You know, I've been doing this too long to panic. We've got a plan, and we're going to stick to the plan. We're going to stream and do morning coffee and shows and gameplay and green room and Friday nights. We're launching an album today on the music channel. That we've got a plan. We've got a community. I got a guy in my corner that understands the business better than I do. I've been doing this long enough to just have a stick-to-itiveness about it. Like, let's just keep going. Let's just keep working. You know, I'm not going to get rattled and like, like that. I've been doing it too long. You know, if this was like my first year as a creator, it would be like a little panic. Well, it'd be unusual for a creator in their first year to have this level, you know, of support. But, you know, staunch the bleeding at least. Yes. We are in that phase right now. Like in Metal Gear. In Metal Gear when you're healing. It's like the Metal Gear healing. We have stopped the bleeding. We've put a bandage on it. We've sanitized the wound. And we're like, all right, let's limp out of here. let's keep going. You know. Thank you so much, Joker Quinn, for the $5 super chat. Just because I felt like it. Thank you. Yeah. It's a great culture. His gifted during the award show got me into morning coffee. Been sub for almost a year now. If you guys are here right now, Morning coffee will be a member plus and above segment to start the day. If we have like a really crazy week, I'll open it to everybody so they get like a sample. Like if we go crazy with gifteds, in like, you know, let's say we walk into Friday and we hit the goal early or something, I'll be like, well, let's open up morning coffee to everybody on a Friday, just so they can feel the vibes. And then we'll go into the public show, and then we'll end every day with Green Room. Creatures coming back to Green Room. We are only going to be talking about gaming news and topics for gaming in morning coffee. I'm sorry, in Green Room. We won't, you know, we're not going to be getting into business and stuff like that. That's not the point of that show. So, yeah. Just like it took time to figure out the problem, you got to give... I think the plan will work because it worked before. It worked before. We've done this before. We've kind of drilled down and said, let's give good content to members. Let's have fun goals and fun incentives. And let's cover the gaming, cover gaming news. Oh, hang on. Because I don't have the back end of Twitch. Have you been getting followers on Twitch? We've been getting followers, but we're losing followers slightly. I mean, ever so slightly faster than gaining. Ever so slightly. Like, so we're just slowly going down. And then we'll go up, and then we'll go down. And then we'll go up, and then we'll go down. Because there's people that just see me, and they're like, I don't like that guy, and they just unfollow. It's understandable. There are people who think terrible things about me because, you know, they were lied to. And that's just the nature of what happened. So we've just been slowly slipping. It's not bad, but you'll lose follower 90,000 of your followers are from D1, D2. Well, my hope is that a lot of them have taken the time to reflect, think, or investigate and maybe be like, hey, this guy deserves to be, you know, given everything back or supported. I mean, or watched or whatever they've concluded. Yeah. What about Twitch Prime if I use it from a different country? I have no idea. Here's what you have to concern yourself with. None of that. If support is support. If you're in Arizona or Argentina and you're giving me money, that's support. It doesn't matter. Like, you're supporting me either way. Whether you're giving me $50 and you live in California, or you're giving me $1 and you live in Australia. Like, you don't need to concern yourself with any of that. Like, well, how much is hubba divided by an 8? No. That's not your concern. If you're showing up, listening, watching, supporting, that's support. You don't need to get a calculator out to determine how much you're helping me. If you want to go above and beyond, there are ways to do that, like order coffee, send a tip. You know, there are ways to do that. If that's the concern you have, like, well, I want to support as much as I can, there are ways to do that. But you don't need to be like, but if I do a Prime or YouTube or a gift or this or that or my currency's this, that's not your concern. We've made adjustments to where no matter what you do, the channel's being supported. If there's a guy next to you gifting from Canadian and there's a guy next to you gifting in pounds and euro and you're gifting in United Arab Emirates, it doesn't matter. You're supporting. Like that, there's no reason to like slice it up like that. You don't have to worry about that. That is not your concern. We figured it out. We solved it. We're moving forward. That's all you need to know is that imagine I wasn't gifting back. We wouldn't be having this conversation. We would just be still doing our thing. The only reason it got attention is because I was gifting back too much. You know what I mean? That's really the only reason. If I hadn't been gifting the way that I was, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would just been like, keep it on, you know? It only became noticeable because I was like, something's not right. I'm falling, and that shouldn't be happening when you have that level of support. So it was a mistake that we have fixed. Thank you for the 100 bits. Messaged me on a product because the title was different. Went to report it to someone, could fix it, and got snapped at. So much for being nice and trying to help you. Been busy with customer service. Oh, I thought you were talking about me, Gwendolyn. I was like, huh? Image was misleading on a product because the title was different. Went to report it to someone so they could fix it and got snapped at. That's never fun. Yeah. We got to end. Okay, so you guys got to help me with this. Morning coffee has to be a hard stop at 9:55, okay, which is about a minute from now. So we are going to go to the new stream. I don't have a script or anything. This is going to be a super ad hoc day. I had soccer last night, and Creature and I were on the phone, like up to the point that I was literally getting into the driver's seat of my car. So I'm going to give you my first impressions of Lost Soul Aside. We're going to talk about this new thing with Moore's Law is Dead. We're going to talk about Yote going gold and anything else. All right? So I'm going to give you guys a link in the chat of where we're headed. You guys on YouTube. You guys on Twitch, just hang tight. The stream will end, and then it'll restart in about 5 minutes. Okay? All right? Appreciate you guys so much. Listen, you guys want to support? You bring the heat. Right? Get in there, hit the likes, get the chat going, keep it positive. You can gift, you can tip, you can super chat, all those things. But man, the energy and the likes is really the driver. That typically leads to all those other things happening, right? If you're like, well, I can't gift. Well, you can smash like, chat, and be fun, right? If you're lurking, that's support. Make sure you're hitting like every time when you're lurking, all right? I'll see you guys in just a minute, okay?